What's up, you guys? This is Rob from Mega Guy Plays, and today on Dress to Kill, we're going to be taking a look at secondary energy colors. I'm going to be giving you guys some tips and tricks on how to best use them, and then I'll be delivering some presets for you guys to get some inspiration off of. I'll also be demonstrating them on a couple different Warframes, so you can get a really good idea of how these colors play together. So without ado, let's get dressed. Now, non-sassy disclaimer Rob popping in here real quick, and I know you guys are disappointed. Unfortunately, my sassy cohort is being wined and dined out in the Maldives by one of his many sugar daddies. I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to settle for me. However, I did want to point out the fact that this is going to be a Redux episode, so all of the color combinations that you see today are going to be available in the description box below, and do keep in mind that some of these colors go from wild to mild, and I wanted to kind of mix things up so that you guys got a good variety to play around with. So I hope you get inspired with that. I'll go ahead and pass it on to present day Rob. Boop! Wait, I'm present day Rob. Does that still work? I don't know. So for those of you guys that are a little bit out of the loop, secondary energy colors become available after you have formatted your Warframe or weapon. As you can see right here, Revenant has some formal on him, and if we jump into the appearance tab, and this is why my face is missing, the secondary energy color becomes available. Now, this also applies to any Syandana that you equip on that formatted Warframe. However, unfortunately, we do not have access to a secondary energy color on our armors quite yet. Now, I do know that DE is making some changes and is probably going to be tweaking around secondary energy colors at some point in the future, so I'm assuming that they'll probably be adding in that secondary energy slot into attachments as well. Boop! And Facecam is back in action. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some tips and tricks as to how the primary and secondary energy color interplay. That way, when you're experimenting with your own looks, you'll have a little bit more insight as to what you're doing. Now, first things first, I wanted to mention the fact that whenever you get into the energy color screen, or select another energy color, or get out of the energy color screen, you'll actually see a plume of that energy tone that you have selected. So as you can see right here, when we get into that energy screen, you see that little plume that comes out. When you go ahead and select another color, you see that plume once again. And then when you exit, you also see that plume of color. So if you guys are kind of wanting an idea as to how this will play on your Warframe's energy effects without actually going into Captura or going into a mission to test it out, that'll give you a bit of insight when it comes to that. So let me go ahead and give you some tips for the primary tone. Now, the darker your primary tone, the more you're going to be able to see the energy color of your secondary tone. Alright, so as you can see right here, we're in the Eminence palette, and we've selected the deepest shade of this specific purple. But as we go up, you'll notice that it starts adding a little bit more white into that secondary tone. It starts making it a little bit brighter and starts washing out that shade. So let's go all the way to the top, and you'll notice that the look is kind of like this sheer lavendery purple with just a slight hint of that secondary color. But look, if we go ahead and let it drop back to that dark color, you see way more of that teal. So definitely keep that in mind when you're kind of blending two colors together and you're wondering, wait, why can I barely see the secondary energy tone? It's because the primary tone that you've selected might be too bright. So go for a darker variation of that. Now, the next thing that I want to go ahead and point out with the secondary energy color is, while the richness of that color does matter, it's not as dramatic as your primary tone selection. So as you can see right here, we are at a fairly richer variation of this tone, but as we go lighter, you still get a decent payout even though they are lighter variants of the other. So I would say the more important of the two to select to ensure that you see these colors is going to be your primary tone. So make sure you keep that one deeper and darker. And the other thing that I do need to mention is I've noticed from a lot of Warframes that the secondary tone tends to be the brightest parts of the energy that you have. So keep that in mind. As you can see, the kind of wispier parts of the flame on Revenant are that darker tone, and then the brighter parts are the secondary tone. The other thing that I want to mention about the secondary tone, and again, this might change in the future because DE did state that they're going to be playing around with a couple things, is if you notice this tone is what is predominantly featured on Revenant's skin. So completely ignore all of the energy effects that are wafting from him, but you'll notice that on certain skins, the secondary energy color is actually the energy color that is used for some of the visuals that pulse through the body. As you can see right there with Revenant, even though the primary is a purple, we're seeing a lot of that green. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show how this plays out on a couple other Warframes, because it's not the same on every Warframe. So I've actually gone ahead and selected Ne Zha, and as you can see right here, I've copied that same energy color theme, I guess you'll call it. And as you can see, even though the primary energy tone, oh, you can't see it, but the primary energy tone is that purple. And again, we have the purple wispiness on the edge, but the primary color that you actually see represented on the frame is the secondary energy tone. So for now, this is how it currently is. However, we're not done, because I did want to reinforce the fact that this isn't true for everybody. So we've got Nova here, and I forgot to swap the appearance slots because I'm a dummy. But as you can see right here, or you can't, I've actually doubled up the purple. So on the primary energy and the secondary energy, we have that purple tone. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that certain Warframes will actually blend the tones together. And again, this is not for every single Warframe. This is just for specific ones out there. Sometimes they blend. So as you can see right here, I'm putting that secondary energy tone into the blend on the secondary energy. But as you see, it's the primary color that's represented on the frame itself. However, if we flip-flop it, so you notice we've got a full purple energy there. If we flip-flop that secondary energy tone into the primary energy tone, it's actually creating a blend on the Warframe. So no matter which way I skew it, she's always going to try to blend the two color energy tones together, and that's what you end up with. So definitely keep that in mind. It's going to be different for every single Warframe as to how it's going to blend on their skin. So it's something that you guys got to kind of I guess you would say troubleshoot and see exactly what works best for that particular skin. Now, I'm not going to ramble when it comes to all of these energy color effects things. I've picked out these 3 frames for you guys to take a look at. We're actually going to go ahead and jump into Captura so that you can see how all of these play together. Alrighty, so as you can see here, we have the poster boy of energy colors, Mr. Revenant. So this is what the Northern Lights set looks like on his ultimate. It's a mainly tealy color with a little bit of that wispy purple on the outside. It's very pretty. Here's it on his Reeve, and then of course we have his, what is it called? Mesmer skin going on. Not as much of an energy effect there, but that's what it looks like. So let's go ahead and swap over into another Warframe that is very intensive in color, and that of course is gonna be Best Boy Ne Zha. I'm gonna type it in because people get really, really upset when I search for them manually. So as you can see right here, I'm kicking it off with a little bit of Fire Feet action, and we've got that Aurora Borealis all over the ground. It's very, very pretty. Let's go ahead and throw off a little bit of disc action. Again, the lightest bit seems to be the secondary energy color. And then let's toss on his ring, and then slap on this ultimate. You don't see the ultimate because there are no enemies, and I don't really feel like spawning them. Because we have one more Warframe to take a look at, and that means we're gonna jump into Miss Nova. We got the ends together, right? Get in there. So as you can see, the big reason that I wanted to show it on Nova is because of the fact that her wormhole is a great display as to how the color schemes work. So as you can see right there, we have the really bright tealy purple on that outside and that nice rich violet on the inside. So that is it for the Northern Lights set. Moving along to our next color combo, y'all knew I could not stay away from doing something a little bit rose gold. However, in this case, I've actually gone and flipped it into a golden rose. So as you can see, the primary color here is kind of like this soft, really romantic, dusty, warm rose tone, and then the highlights are this amazing rose gold. And I feel like it goes really, really well with all of the rose golds that we currently have available. So let's go ahead and take a look how this plays out in Captura. As you can see, we've got Revenant going yet again, and here is that really romantic, just warm. It's almost kind of like blended together, this really, really pretty corally shade. And then we'll go ahead and use Reeve, and it's just a really, really dusty rose. And then we'll go ahead and go into his Mesmer skin. I almost almost feel like I don't need to cast his Mesmer skin. Now, let's go ahead and swap into Mr. Neja, because I've got this. I got to show this to you guys a couple different ways, right? You need to be able to see all of the different variations that we work with. Nez. And as you can see, he is rocking that dusty rose tone as well. And as you leave this on the ground, it's just kind of like pretty and soft and vintagey. Let's go ahead and throw the disc. Let's go ahead and create a disc. And then let's go ahead and toss out that ultimate. It's just really pretty and very coral. And of course, last but not least, let's go ahead and show how this works on Nova's Wormhole. Now, the reason that I'm showing it on Nova's Wormhole, and I'm not really doing a great job of showing it on her other abilities, because her other abilities don't really show it off that well, but Wormhole time. Boom. Really, really pretty. Really, really vintage. Really, really romantic. Let's go ahead and toss on some of the rest of her abilities so that you don't feel so cheated. But as you can see right here, this is how it all... Oh, wait, where's my ball? There you go. There's my ball. And that's how it all works out for Nova. Now let's go ahead and jump into the next look. Okay, so this round I'm serving up yet another pink. However, we're taking it out into space this time. Because I don't know about y'all, but I know that I spend a lot of time on YouTube watching all of these damn space videos where we're taking a look at Hubble, taking pictures of galaxies. So I figured, why not hit y'all with some Orion pink? Yes, this is inspired by the nebula itself. So let's go ahead and jump into Captura real quick. Now, the one thing I do want to point out about this is the secondary color is a little bit of an intense orange, so that might not work with all color schemes. Like I was saying earlier, sometimes you got to troubleshoot these things, but I played around with it and I was like, let me see if I can find a substitute. I couldn't really find a good enough substitute that, you know, interfered less with some of the color schemes, but as you can see right here, it's just so motherfucking galactic. That purple is amazing on this thing. The orange makes it look like it's a pink. I'm like, what is happening? I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Hit it with a little bit of that reeve. Oh, it's so pretty. And then, of course, there is the, what is it called? Mesmer skin. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at how this looks on Neja. Real quick, because, you know, if we're gonna give anybody Galaxy Fire, we gotta give it to Mr. Neja over here, right? So, as you can see right here, the orange doesn't look so bad on this skin. That's what I was saying by troubleshooting. Some skins it's gonna be okay on, some skins it's not gonna be as okay on. So, as you can see right here, we are leaving a beautiful galaxy trail, and I'm kind of living for it. I love the darkness of the violets coming through as this kind of like smoky violet effect. And then, of course, you get the brightness of that orange that's coming through really, really vividly. Boom. Now, let's go ahead and jump in to, what do you call this? Nova. Not jump into Nova. That sounds inappropriate. Shame on you. But you do get some really, really pretty effects on her. As you can see, on her skin, it just combines into this pretty pink tone instead of having that orange tone. So let's go ahead and use her wormhole. Ah, that's what I love. Look at it. The combination of the two colors is just so pretty and vivid. There's her ultimate, there's her balls, and then there's her other ball. I don't know why that takes so long to cast sometimes. That was really, really strange. But that about does it for, what is this called? Orion Pink. This next pair creates a shade that I refer to as Spirit Fire, and let me tell you, this one has been a pain in the butt to get right, but I think I finally captured it. It's supposed to be this kind of like ethereal, like ghostly, spectral kind of energy that's just like soft and kind of haunting. I've played around with a couple different shades. Some were just too intense, some were just too dull, but this one I think is just the perfect balance. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this plays out when it comes to energy effects. It's hard with some of these kind of like middle shades because you really don't want to lose the tonality. You still want it to look special. And as you can see here, you get that kind of dusty gold with that smoky blue in there. And then let's go ahead and do a little bit of reaving. And then a little bit of that mesmer skin. So as you can see, it's not super intense, but it just feels like it's nice and haunting. So let's go ahead and toss this on Neja so that you guys can see how that plays around with his little fire feats. But that's definitely one of the things that I'm loving a lot when it comes to the secondary energy effects. You're able to really capture exactly what you want to capture when it comes to energy colors. You get some more freedom, and as you can see right here, you mainly see a lot of that kind of soft, pale gold, but it's kind of like a cooler gold. So you mix that with the smokiness of the blue, and it's really, really pretty. So again, we have the disc. Let's go ahead and throw his little chakram. And then let's go and pop off his ultimate. And then let's see how this looks on Nova's wormholes, which, to be honest with you, I think is the best representation of how all of these colors kind of intermingle together. So as you can see right here, here's some wormhole action. And again, that deep dark, it's a really smoky teal. I keep calling it blue, but it's like this smoky teal, and you get that with the kind of lining of that cool like pale antique gold. It's very, very pretty. And then ultimate, and then 2, and boom, there it is. So going from mild to wild, we have something that I refer to as Fluorescent Poison. I actually wanted to name this Koke Poison after the poison tree frog, but not all of those poison tree frogs look exactly the same. However, they are this bright, vivid color, and I actually started using this on my Saren initially. Then I went ahead and kind of carried it through so that you guys could go ahead and see it. It's really, really intense, and I love the way that this one turned out. It's just something that it's very eye-catching, and it uses 2 brights that are very, very intense. So as you can see right here, it is just beautiful and gorgeous. Like, I don't feel like Revenant's flames really did a great job of showing off all of that beautiful green, but it is kind of like toxic, but it's still very, very intense. You can kind of see it on the Mesmer skin dust on his hands. It's fucking fantastic. I love it. And when you see this on Saren, I know maybe I should be displaying this on Saren, but you guys will fucking see it. You know, you guys will test it out yourself and see how you like it in the game. Look, I didn't have to look it up. It was right there. And here's Neja coming in with that beautiful, brilliant green on his skin. And as you can see right there, it's just this crazy fluorescent tone that I think just like illuminates the battlefield. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's really, really fun. Sometimes you just want some fun energy colors. Here's a little whoop. Look at the way that those 2 blend. It's so freaking pretty. Then of course his ultimate. Now let's go ahead and toss that on Miss Nova so that you can see it really, really plainly on the wormhole. Look, I didn't have to search for a single fucking thing. I got it all in one shot. All right, so as you can see right here, this is how that color combination turns out on the wormhole, and it is just so bright. It is so vivid, it is so in your face, and very, very fun. I know that I like to do a lot of like mild looks, something really subtle, relaxed, a little classy, but every now and then you gotta have a little bit of fun with it, right? And I think that this is definitely one of the funnest looks. Also, let me know, should I rename this from Fluorescent Poison to Koke Poison? It's K-O-K-E if you want to look up the poison frog, because I feel like it's a little more thematic, but I also feel like people are gonna be like, what the hell is Koke? I'm probably not even saying it right. Oh, is that racist? Alrighty, so as I was saying earlier, I've been on this quest to find a really haunting, spectral, ghostly energy color. So while I was kind of concocting Spirit Fire, I also played around with this tone, which I ended up really liking as well. And I didn't know if I wanted to share it because I felt like they kind of fit within the same realm. However, their tonality is quite different. So while that one was Spirit Fire, this one is Ghostly Flame. And I like the fact that it's a little bit more of a blue tone. I was playing around with a concoction for just a really, really good base fire energy, and I'm like, somebody out there is gonna want like a blue flame at some point. And then so that was in my brain with all of the kind of like ethereal, ghostly energy. So I ended up concocting this, not necessarily in the blue flame aspect, but just kind of like a spectral, ghostly aspect, which I think is not necessarily something that gets covered too much. But as you can see, it's just like the other one, very, very haunting, a very unique combination of two tones, and I think it's just something that you don't see often enough. So I thought that I would go ahead and toss that in here as well. And let's see how this plays out on Ninja, because I really do love the fire effects with it. And I could see this on like almost like a ghost ember, and it would be really, really pretty like that. So let's go ahead and toss this out there again. It makes Neja's balls blue. But it does provide definitely a different color tonality than the Spirit Fire, and it definitely feels a little bit more ghostly and chilling than the other variation. So think about this as the cool tone and the other one as the warm tone. See his little hoop-de-hoops? Go ahead and toss another hoop-de-hoop, and then pop off his ultimate before we go ahead and show how this combines on Nova's wormholes. So let's take a look right here, pop her out, and then you can see how that all kind of combines in to this really like haunting, eerie tone, right? I love the fact that the blue kind of rims out this grayish, brownish tone in the middle, and I've always loved kind of like how blue and brown mix very, very well together. And again, it's just kind of like this eerie combination of the two tones. Let's get that in. Boom and boom. So let's go ahead and take a look at our final color of the day. And for our last combo today, I bring you something that I lovingly call dirty water. I know you're like, it's green, it's orange, how is this water? But the big reason that I named it that is because of the fact that I like to use it on frames like Hydroid and Sarin. So in my head, it's all just liquids. It might not necessarily look right on the frames that I'm putting it on right now, but just for continuity's sake, I figured that we would go ahead and show it off on them as well. But I do highly encourage you to try this out on the more liquidy frames or weapons out there. Any of the infested weapons that leave gas clouds, I think that this is really pretty on. So as you can see right here, you get this cool like orangey greeny combo, and you don't really get to see it as much on the flames of Revenant, but once you see those energy effects kind of fly, you're like, oh. And it kind of, I know that it's not the color of corrosive, but I feel like if you run into like rusty green water, this would be it, and it would be dirty. Like, look at the gaseous likeness that is coming off of him. That's what I mean when I say it's like dirty water. I know it makes no sense. Listen, just go with me on this and believe in me. I'm just letting you know this is what we're gonna end up calling it. So let's take a look at how that plays out on Nijan, his little fire feeties. But as you can see, even like the green smoky bits, it looks like it's corrosion and pollution, right? I mean, even on Neja's fire feed, it looks kind of dope because of the fact that it's kind of fiery, but it looks like it's kind of like toxic fire. Again, that's why I like to use this on Sarin, because of that kind of like toxicity aspect. And then also when you think about it on Hydroid, it's like polluted waters. So for me, that's definitely where I'm getting a lot of the feeling from. Let's take a look at how this works out on Miss Nova's wormholes real quick, so you guys can get a better look at the color combination of the two. But just trust me, it's really pretty. I really was like thinking in my head, should I show you guys this, because it's such an off combination of orange and green that I think it looks really, really freaking cool. And because of the fact that, you know, the green has some yellow in it, orange has a little bit of yellow in it, it kind of creates this really interesting blend that I'm a very, very big fan of. It almost looks a little retro now that I'm looking at it too. Not that I'm like trying to make it retro, but I just think it's a really cool, weird, dirty water combination. Listen, don't judge me. And that's it for my energy color combos. Hopefully you guys have felt inspired to do a little bit of playing. And listen, if you find anything good, go ahead and toss the color codes as well as a description of what you are going for down in the comments below. So that way, if I'm scrolling through and I'm like, huh, that sounds like an interesting concept, I could go ahead and test it out in game. Now, I'm also going to go ahead and leave color codes in the description box for this, because I was mentioning a little bit earlier that I was looking for a kind of like true flame color. It's really easy. Just go for kind of like a medium tone red orange, then toss a really, really bright yellow as the secondary energy color. It's really, really freaking pretty. Regardless, that about does it for me for now. So as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your primary and secondary energy color blending into beautifulness. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!